Hey everyone, been a while since I posted a video. I have 10 stitches. I have 10 stitches holding my thumb together on my left hand. Um, don't be stupid like Dave. If you're going to use an angle grinder with a paint removing bit, please make sure that you use gloves. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Um, anyway, I wanted to post a video. My wife and I were talking about the other day about relationships. And we're not talking about personal relationships with people, we're talking about relationships with music. Um, so when I started music, my first instrument was violin. My second instrument was piano. And then the third instrument was guitar. So my piano teacher was Frank Burke, and my guitar teacher wore a big old 10-gallon cowboy hat. His name was Texas Jim Turfel. I'll never forget him as long as I live. Um, so, as some of you know, my throat was damaged. I've been a singer my whole life, and my throat was damaged from a very bad bout with reflux about 10 and a half years ago. Kind of fell into depression because I'm an expressionist. I love to sing, and without being able to sing, it was a bad situation. But so I'm the guy who I love music, period. You know, I listen to everything from, you can judge all you like. I listen to everything from Christina Aguilera to death metal to Barry Manilow, Neil Diamond to Johnny Mathis to country. I mean, there's so much great music out there. Um, Clint Black actually did a song, and the lyrics were "Ain't it funny how a melody brings back a memory." I would wake up on Saturday morning, and my dad would have Johnny Horton, Statler Brothers, Beach Boys, and if Dad was gone, Mom would have on Barry Manilow, Neil Diamond, Johnny Mathis, Engelbert Humperdinck. Um, and of course, I had my own music, and I grew up listening to music in the '80s, late '70s, '80s, and '90s, and we had some great, fantastic music. And again, I like pretty much every genre. Um, but the one thing I would like to talk about is a relationship with a guitar. Now, when you're a vocalist, your voice is your best friend. You rely on it immensely. And I had never experienced a relationship with an instrument before. Um, when I went to Atomic Music in Beltsville, Maryland one day, I found pardon me for a second, my Ibanez TC420. Now, this was my first real guitar. This is in 1996. This was when they went from that pressed plastic mixture wood to actual wood. This body's made of basswood, rosewood fretboard. Does have a scarf joint net. This is a great, honestly, God, this is probably one of the coolest, inexpensive guitars you'll ever find. This is the one. This is a guitar that it was in the neglected section. I paid $180 for it, and there was a original Seymour Duncan signed and built 1983 pickup by Marcela Juarez, the custom shop pickup winder for Seymour Duncan. It was one of her original 1983 custom SH5 pickups. So that was in this guitar. So anyway, it's interesting so picking up a guitar and feeling, I mean, it's a piece of wood, right? It's not something, it's not animated. It doesn't, if it just sits there, it doesn't do anything. But it isn't until you pick it up and you feel the curves and you feel how the guitar rests against your body. You can feel the tuck. You can feel the neck, the curvature of the neck. Hopefully the frets are good. And the first time you acoustically strum it, you're like, wow, it just Obviously, I'm having issues playing with my thumb being screwed up, which is why I'm not playing. But something mysterious happens when I pick up a guitar. You know, I've played, Guitar Centers, and I've picked up expensive PRS Wood Library. Been to Chuck Levins in Silver Spring. Many of you know who Chuck Levins is. If any artists ever come into the DC area, that's where they stop for instruments. I mean, Chuck Levins is an amazing store. Great, fantastic people too. So what I started doing about halfway through, I've been playing for about 9 years now. And what I started doing about halfway through is I started taking the guitars apart, if I bought used guitars, and putting them back together to know them, to understand how they're put together. And I feel like I crossed some barrier where the guitar and I bond while taking it apart and putting it back together. Not just to take it apart and go, oh, it needs to be cleaned, but understand it. Look at all the joints, maybe clean up the fret ends. And, I'll give you an example. So I bought a guitar that was damaged off of, what did I get this off of Reverb? And it was a Schecter SLS Elite with the fan fret. Now, this guitar was originally a blonde, and the guitar was painted all blue. I mean, everything was painted blue. Like, the whole guitar was painted blue. Neat blue, but this guitar does not deserve to be painted blue. So, in cleaning it up and cleaning all the blue off of it, unfortunately, I damaged the, was it flame maple? I think it was flame maple on top. And it's a carved top. So I sanded as much of it off as I could. And I did the Hot Rod Flat Pearl metallic, and I coated everything in 2K lacquer. Honestly, this is a really cool guitar now. But when I pick up this guitar and I play it, I feel like there's a part of me in it. I'm sure many of you understand exactly what I'm talking about. But isn't that amazing that you can pick up a guitar, a piece of wood? So one of my favorite artists rest in peace, George Winston, amazing pianist. And it took me 20 years to see him in concert. And my wife and I saw him at Ephrata Main Theater in Pennsylvania. And that man would play the piano, pick up the hood, climb inside, well, not climb, but reach inside and manipulate the strings inside the piano. If you watched him, he has an album called Forest. There's a song in there called Walking in the Air from the Snowman movie from the 1970s. And my grandmother and grandfather had a house on the top of a mountain in central Pennsylvania. And we would go up there in the wintertime, and 45 acres of pine trees. And you could sit in that pine forest. My grandmother put 2 2x12s up in this one pine tree, and you could sit in this tree, and you could hear the snow hitting the pine needles. It was, and there's nothing on top of this mountain. It was such a beautiful feeling. And I could just sit there, and it almost sounded, musical, right? Because there's this connection with hearing how nature creates sound. And there's the song called Walking in the Air off of Forest, and it takes me back to, ain't it funny how a melody brings back a memory? It takes me back to being in that forest and listening to that snow. And you can actually hear the crescendo as the snow increases, then it would die back down a little bit, and then it would start to pick back up again. And every time I hear that song, it actually chokes me up. I hear that song now. I've been listening to that album 25 years, I guess. Maybe it's been longer than that. Maybe the album's 30 years old. And it still chokes me up when I hear that song. I mean, I'm right there. I'm right back in that pine tree when I was 10, 15 years old, sitting in that forest, in that pine forest, just listening and hearing the snowfall. I mean, wonderful feelings. And music has this ability to transfer us to some place, and hopefully you understand, hopefully many of you understand. And it isn't just the cruising down the road, listen to the music so loud that you're going deaf. Oh, by the way, everything you do to your hearing after the age of 25 is permanent, so be mindful of that. Thank God I wear earplugs. But there's something, you get transported someplace with music that, for me, nothing else, there's no other experience in life like that. There's nothing else that has that same, I don't even know what you'd call it, nuance, the same experience, the same connection. And so I'm in HVAC service, so I drive a lot, and I spend a lot of time in the truck by myself during the day. And I listen to music all day long, and I basically just hit shuffle and listen to every genre. Yesterday I was listening to Metal Church's original album, and from 1983, 1981, I can't remember. Anyway, and I've found as I've gotten older, because my perspective towards life has changed, my perspective towards that music has changed as well. When I pick up a guitar that there's instantly this connection with that guitar. And sometimes it's not even about taking it apart and redoing it. It's about, like I said, it's just the way it feels, the way it sits, the tone that comes out of it. You know, the argument about tone wood, that, oh, it's poplar, it doesn't do anything, or if it's mahogany, if it's not mahogany, it's not great. The very first time I picked up my Ibanez JS, I felt like I was home. When I got this guitar, even when it was all painted blue, and I picked it up and I started playing it, and it still has Fishman Fluence Moderns in it. And when you pick up a guitar and you feel it, something special happens that I think, to me, is inexplicable. Because all of a sudden, I can pick up a guitar that I've never played before, and all of a sudden I'm playing something I've never played before. I'm sure many of you experience this, because that guitar brings something special out in you. Or me, I'll speak for myself. Brings something out special in me. Being a musician and being an expressionist has got to be, I'm truly fortunate that I'm as tonal as I am, that I can basically hear every note. Ow, I just banged my stitches on my guitar. Whoo, boy, that sent shockwaves up my arm. Being a musician is a wonderful thing, and being able to hear it and express it. I have a friend of mine named Mark Cooper. Mark just went through a horrific cancer ordeal over many years. And Mark's a musician, professional, semi-professional, professional musician. And I hear him play, and you can hear his connection with that. And when he's releasing that, you know, if I come home and I'm down here playing, and my wife's upstairs, and she'll say, I can hear how you're feeling by what you're playing. I mean, how does that happen, right? I can hear how you're feeling by what you're playing. And when I come home, I have 12 guitars, mostly cheapies. Like I said, I buy some expensive guitars, I test them out, and then I end up reselling them. I don't really see any need to buy expensive guitars because I don't play out, so they're just for me. And actually, some of my favorite guitars are my Daphne Blue Squire Deluxes. I have 2 of them. I think paid $200 for one and $300 for the other, and I honestly, amazing guitars. And I'm a huge David Gilmour fan, so I love my Strats. I lost my train of thought, but I know what I was going to say. So I come downstairs, and immediately how I'm feeling directs me to pick up the guitar that is going to work for how I'm feeling. And it's instinctual. It's not like I come down and go, I'm going to pick up that one, I'm going to pick up that one. It's just I reach for that guitar. So I develop the individual relationship with it, just like we do with people. Individual guitars have individual relationships. Again, this is me. I don't know. I'm assuming this is a common thing with guitar players or musicians in general. I don't know if Herb Alpert actually had multiple trombone. What did he play? Trombones. Did I say Kenny G? Did Kenny G have like 14 different saxophones, jazz saxes? I don't know. I don't know if he just played one or if and then he developed that relationship with that one. I mean, if I had to pick one, honestly, if I had to pick up one guitar and say that would be the end of all the guitars, that would be the one guitar I would own for the rest of my life, honestly, it would probably be my Ibanez JS. I think some of that is... So when I was in the military, I was in during the early 80s, mid-80s, and I was at Naval Air Station Jacksonville, and I don't even remember where I was, local music shop, and I picked up Joe Satriani's Surfing with the Alien. Still to this day, Always With Me, Always With You, and Surfing the Alien are 2 of my favorite instrumental songs of all time. So I guess there's some nostalgia when I pick up that guitar and I realize I'm playing one of my first music heroes guitars. But it's it's Japanese made. It's a very, very well made guitar. So it fits my, and the body and everything. I'm not a big guy, so big guitars don't really fit me well. But I pick up that guitar and I feel like I'm home. Same with my Ibanez Talman. Not a big guitar. I'll probably be buried with that Ibanez Talman. I'll probably have it chucked in the fire with me, and it'll probably be in my ashes. I hope that this is a common thing, because it would seem like such an amazing loss to have just play guitar and not experience that connection or that relationship. I'm sure I'll get lots of comments on this one. I'm curious to hear some of the stories about your first guitar and the first guitar you had, and then the first guitar that you picked up and went, wow, I can feel the energy from this guitar. Used, new, piece of crap you picked up at Goodwill that you repainted. Brian May built a guitar with his dad. Eddie Van Halen and his Frankenstein. I mean, that was a piece of work. Still is, right? I'm assuming that Wolfgang has it now. Anyway, I hope you guys are out there and girls are out there enjoying your guitars and creating that close relationship with them. Yes, they're material. Yes, they're a piece of wood. And yes, it's you creating it, but you're creating it in conjunction with your guitar, with your instrument. So becomes a symbiotic relationship. And because you can't do one without the other, right? You can sing, but tell me that the guitar isn't one of the most expressive instruments you will ever play. I mean, it really is. Look at what you can do with a single guitar. With, you know, this is a 7-string, but with even just a 6-string guitar. Even if you had 4 strings on a guitar, what the cigar box guitars that Samantha Fish plays. I don't know if that's a 6-string or 4-string. How fortunate are we to experience and to have these guitars and have these relationships with these guitars and be able to express and share with people what's inside of us through the guitar or through whatever instrument you love to play. I mean, how cool is that, right? Yeah, hopefully this video inspires somebody to go, maybe I should try that. I don't know if anybody that doesn't watch or doesn't play guitar has ever seen any of my videos. But, so that's my video for today. Please like and subscribe. I'd love to keep this going, inspire more and more people to share their guitars, share their experiences with their guitars. Like I said, I'd love to hear some comments and stories about your first guitar and what guitar means to you and how you develop your relationship with playing. So anyway, rock on, guys and girls. Stay fun, stay happy, play until you can't play anymore. Play until you take your last breath. Enjoy every day. Be well, folks. See ya.